God bless football, Billy Gill.
God bless football, Mikey A.
God bless football, Stugotz.
Thank you, Mikey A. Happy holidays to everyone in the audience. We have an exciting show coming up. We have an exciting weekend coming up. We have the college football playoff first round coming up. We have the NFL as well. Chris Fallica, the Bear, going to join us. Mike Lombardi, the new GM at North Carolina, is going to join us. And Chris Sims going to join us as well. How about Lombardi, GM, North Carolina? I'm expecting a different Mike Lombardi today, Billy.
Are you?
I am, yes.
It's funny because we've had Mike Lombardi on a number of times, and it was to promote books and, you know, whatever projects he was working on at the time. He had a show at VSiN. He did some stuff with DraftKings. And you would always say, you know, Billy, this is how you do this. You get Lombardi, and then when he takes over an NFL team, you have that relationship.
Yes.
But like, you'll tell me that with everyone, you know, to the likes of Drew Millard, who writes a book about, you know, golf. And it's like, when he's on the PGA Tour, it's like Drew Millard's never going to be on the PGA Tour, but whatever. And sure enough, now Mike Lombardi has taken over, you know, University of North Carolina. By the way, Stugotz, I don't know if you know this.
What?
God Bless Football is presented by Smirnoff. We do game.
I didn't know.
Please drink responsibly. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York.
Oh, I mean, how could I possibly have known that?
I mean, you should. They sponsor us every week. Also, by the way, here's another thing.
Yes.
Guys, if you want to do us a solid, go to sportspodcastgroup.com. You can vote for us for Best American Football Podcast. Listen, I'm not here to go into any conspiracy theories or anything like that, but someone did point out that some of the heavier hitters are at the top of the list when you go to vote for Best American Football Podcast, the Kelseys. So I'm not saying shenanigans is afoot here, but I'm saying go to sportspodcastgroup.com, scroll down a little bit, you'll find God Bless Football. Vote for us, the little guys, to go up against the Giants. If you hate Taylor Swift, vote for us. If you hate Travis Kelce, vote for us. If you love Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, vote for us. Either way.
Vote for us anyway.
Vote for us. Sportspodcastgroup.com. God Bless Football, Best American Football Podcast.
I want to be clear on the accusation you're making. Are
I'm
you
making
saying that
no accusation?
Are
no.
the Kelseys being put first because they want the Kelseys to win that award? Is that what they're doing?
I didn't say that. I just had someone reach out to me and say, why aren't these in alphabetical order? To which I said, I don't know. Vote for us. So please vote for us for Sports Podcast Group Awards. We can stick it to management who doesn't believe in us.
Do the Kelseys, do they even talk football? I mean, honestly.
I don't know. I've never listened to that podcast. I only listen to God Bless Football.
That's all you listen to.
It's all you need to listen to.
Yeah.
Did you say stick it to management that doesn't believe in us?
You always have to, whether it's true or not, you always have to kind of paint this thing like you're the little dog. You know what I mean? Yes. So that then the audience like gets behind you and they're like, you know what? I want them to succeed. So just, you know, create your narratives.
Listen. Let's try it this way, okay? Management does not believe in me, in Billy, and Mikey A. They don't support it, okay? They don't want us to win awards, okay? They don't want us really. They don't. I'm being honest. They don't. And I'm telling you right now, I got this message. I don't think Billy got it, but I got it. If we don't win this award, they might cancel the show. So go and vote.
I did not get that message. I hope that's not the case.
I was trying to do what you were saying. Like,
okay. Oh, sorry. They told me that. And they also said, Billy, you have 2 dogs. If you don't win this award, you're going to have 1 dog. And you can't choose which one. It's like, wow. That's extreme. That is, wow.
Management doesn't play.
Please vote for us. Sportspodcastgroup.com.
Please. For Billy's dogs.
Thank you.
I don't know which one.
Right.
I'm trying not to get attached to either one of them, just in case.
I was following your lead there. Which dog would you get rid of, though, by the way?
I don't have a choice. I don't get to choose.
Well, what if you did have a choice? Have you thought about it?
What if you did?
What if you did? What if you did?
What if you did?
Come on, Billy.
I love
what are your dogs'
both.
names?
I love them both equally, Dopey and Izzy.
Dopey and Izzy?
Yeah, I love them both equally.
No one loves both of them equally, so go ahead.
But if I had to choose one, see, I'm not going to say because guess what? If I tip off which one I want more, then they take the other dog. You know what I mean?
So maybe do a little
I would save this one, and they're like, nope, boom, this dog is gone to a new home. Not anywhere else. We're not doing anything bad to the dogs.
Right.
But please vote for us so that they can both still live in my house.
Which one are you getting rid of? I mean,
I'm not going to say.
Okay. They're both your dogs. I mean,
I know. I love them. I'm getting
choked up just thinking about it.
It's terrible. So vote for us so that I don't have to make that horrible choice that I don't even have to make anyways. Oh, also, after you vote for us, sportspodcastgroup.com. Compete against us in weekly fantasy presented by Smirnoff. Go to dkng.co/Smirnoff. Just before we did this, Stugotz was filling out his roster, and he feels pretty confident about it this week.
I do. I took Kyler Murray. What'd you say, Mike?
Yep. I'm coming for the top 500 this week.
Well, you can only go
after
up from last week.
510th last week. I'm coming for the top 500 this week.
Yeah.
I did fill out the roster right before we came on air here. I have Kyler Murray as my quarterback. So
what's the rest of your roster?
Let me check it out. I wanted to ask you guys a question before we get to the Bear here, Chris Fallica, who's going to give us 12 picks for Christmas. Okay, Santa Claus is going to give us 12 picks for Christmas. Why not?
The Bear.
It's so ridiculous. Hold on, I'm trying to pull up the lineup here. Hold on a second, Billy. I have Kyler Murray. I took Shakir, the Bills receiver.
I was trying to trick you. Don't tell people your roster because they'll pick the exact same roster as you, and then you split the money.
Why would you ever pick my roster?
I mean, just spite. I don't know.
I wanted to ask you guys a question. College football playoff is this weekend. NFL is this weekend. Both NFL games are good. The college football playoffs are win or go home. I'm confused by the college football zealots who are upset that they have to compete against the NFL. Who doesn't want more football? I don't understand. You guys don't have a preference, do you? You're fine with all of this being mashed together, right, Billy?
I love it. I'm going to watch it all.
Right.
Oh, my God. We're headed into the holidays. Work responsibilities are winding down. All I have to worry about after all the presents, that's a story for another day. Don't get me started on that. Holiday shopping. But Saturday is football day. God bless it.
The Bear, Chris Fallica, is joining us. Billy, a very exciting time. Mikey A, a very exciting time. We have college football playoffs coming up. What a Saturday. 2 NFL games, 3 college playoff games. The Bear's going to join us. He is going to sing us 12 picks at the end of this segment for the holidays. We're going to call it we're going to call it Santa Paws. Okay? Is that good with you? You like that? I was asking someone.
I love it. I'm good with it.
Really, I was asking Bear if he was okay with it.
I wasn't sure if this was just an intro or what. I was actually ready to walk over there and get like my bear claw magnet for the segment to give even a greater effect.
Please do. We'll fill the time. Yes.
Okay, let's roll over.
He is running over right and scurrying over.
Pull her down now. Now we got it.
Wow.
This is very exciting.
I was going to say, this is scintillating viewing and listening experience right now.
That's a piece of television history that we have on this show right now. How many of those do you have, Bear?
I have a couple. I grabbed a couple of the bags on my final weekend with game day a couple of years ago just to have the mementos, and I have one of the boards downstairs as well.
Is there anything else? Yeah, like what would you steal on the way out? Maybe something not related to you on the way out at ESPN, or something you didn't steal that you wish you would have.
It's something that here's one thing that I absolutely wish I would have stolen, and I didn't, and it's not at ESPN. Larry Wall, may rest in peace, former Orange Bowl executive, my boss at Miami when I was a student assistant in the sports information department, was the Yankee PR guy back in the heydays in the 70s. And on his wall in his office, he had a framed picture of like the Boston Evening Herald or Globe, whatever the hell it was back then, from the day of the Yankees Red Sox game in '78, where it says like Red Sox leading in 6th or whatever, and it was because the Bucky Dent home run hadn't happened yet. So that was, I always joked with Larry, I'm like, if you ever see this missing, it's going to be pretty easy to figure out who wound up stealing it.
You probably shouldn't tip him off. I mean,
well, he's dead, so.
Well, I know, but when you're stealing something from somebody else, you probably shouldn't tip him off.
Yeah, it was our good running joke.
Yes. Bear, we'll get to college football in a second, and we'll get to the games. But for those of you who don't know, Fallica is a big Jets fan, okay? He is part of our tortured fan base. And so I am wondering here, Mikey A will have a breaking story for you that just drives me crazy. But I am wondering how you feel about whether or not Aaron Rodgers should come back. And if he does come back, do you want him back as the Jets quarterback?
No. Why are you bringing him back?
He looks good the last couple of games, Bear.
But you're not going anywhere. The team is terrible.
Right.
You're not winning next year like you are now in tear it down, new GM, new coach, new everything. You're in tear it down mode. You're not, hey, let's trot out a 41-year-old quarterback for another year. Like it's not going to accomplish anything.
Right. Mikey, I think for the first time I saw you nodding. Like, do you want Aaron Rodgers back, Mikey A?
No, I'm just not sure what the alternative is. I mean, I would take Tyrod for a year. I don't love any of the quarterbacks that will be available in this draft, especially where the Jets are picking. So I don't know that the whole let's get somebody and start him is the right way to go either.
But that's the thing. Like it's not a great quarterback draft. I mean, I think Shedeur is the number one quarterback, but there's a chance he may not even go number one. I mean, people may take Travis Hunter number one. People might take one of the edge rushers, Abdul Carter or Mikael Williams number one. Like it is not a year to be looking for a quarterback. And of course, the year the Jets need to be looking for a quarterback in the draft, it is not a year where you need a quarterback in the draft.
Bear, let me just say this, okay? I would rather Aaron Rodgers be bad for the Jets than be great somewhere else. So therefore, I want him back. I can't stomach seeing him be great somewhere else.
He's not going to be great.
He might. He might.
The Jets and you will tell you he could be great.
I mean,
are you just applying like that? That's Jets defeatist logic. Like you
that's the only thing
somewhere else to be great.
I mean, Sam Darnold,
Geno Smith.
It's bad enough that
what a freaking clown that guy was. I mean,
we're 2 years away from Zach Wilson winning the MVP.
That will not be one of the 12 days of Christmas bets. I can promise you that. Zach Wilson to be 2026 MVP.
I like how you say like, oh, that clown Adam Gase, like Robert Saleh was like a genius.
Well, no, he wasn't. But it wasn't like, I mean, Adam Gase, Darnold was the quarterback then. I mean,
right.
Like clearly with some pretty good coaching now in Minnesota, he's doing okay. I mean, look, it wasn't like he went to Carolina and was great either. That was another dysfunctional organization.
Bear, there's a great report by Diana Rossini from The Athletic because I have maintained for many, many years that we as Jet fans care more about the team than the fans do. Mikey A, please share this report with the Bear and let's get his response to it.
There's a lot in it, Bear, including that Woody wanted to keep the Mr. Irrelevant pick just because he wanted the pomp and circumstance that goes with it. But the part that really stands out is he nixed a Jerry Jeudy trade from Denver, even though everything was in place, because his teenage son said his Madden rating was too low to make the deal.
I mean, that makes perfect sense, right? I mean, do you really need another reason than that?
When you don't know football, you go to Madden for, I guess this guy is good. He's an 87.
Absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt. So seriously, how ridiculous is that? Like, I want to keep the last pick because I want to have another Brock Purdy. Like, give me a break. Like, seriously, that's a once and forever type hit that the Niners had with that guy. So, but then again, this is the reason. He fired Robert Saleh because his team got embarrassed in London, where he was for the ambassador for 4 years, and he was bruised and he was embarrassed, and he fired his head coach because of that. So it's like this type of owner that he is.
Were you okay with Belichick reaching out to the Jets and the Jets saying, "Get the out of here"?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Of course I was. I mean, he held a grudge for whatever, and he lambasted him, and actually for once the Jets actually showed a little bit of a spine. I like it.
Right. Yes. What did you think of Belichick going to Carolina? That surprised you?
I think it's either going to be. I don't think it's a middle ground. I think it's either going to be great or it's going to be a complete disaster. But then again, look, This is the guy who figured out a way to plant cameras to spy on his opponent before the Super Bowl and figure out a way to doctor footballs to get him into the game for Tom Brady. Like, if he can do that, I think he can figure out a way to out game plan Jake Dickert and Dave Doran.
You made news on this show recently saying Don Shula was a cheater. Are you alleging that Bill Belichick is also a cheater? Huh?
Well, all I know is those tapes have mysteriously been destroyed, and everything to do with the Spygate with the Rams. Like, suddenly, it's gone. Well, not suddenly. It's been gone for a while. None of it exists anymore. So I don't know. Where there's smoke, there's fire.
You're right. Yes, well said by you, Bear. Before the season started, we'll get to your picks at the end here. Before the college football season started, you and I voiced concern. We shared similar concerns about what it would do, the new playoff format would do to the regular season. So now that we've had a full regular season to kind of digest this new era, what do you think? Has your opinion changed? Did it ruin the regular season? Did it enhance it? What are your thoughts here?
I still liked it at 4, but I will say this. It accomplished its goal. And for that, I'll say it was a success. It made more fan bases involved. It created more conversation. It created more discussion. We cared more about it late. So I will say it was a success. Again, I will fully admit that I liked it more than I thought I would. However, I still think there are problems with the way these teams are ranked, the way it's seeded, if we spin it towards the playoff itself, like the way they see, like Boise State getting a bye is ridiculous. You just need to seed it 1 through 12, have the top 4 get a bye, and then you want to put all the conference champions in, that's fine. That's a different story, but give your 4 best teams buys. But yeah, it will look, and we'll see what happens this weekend. I mean, people talked about wanting the extra games because, hey, upsets are going to happen. You get more teams in. You don't know. We could have first-round upsets. Well, all 4 of these teams that are hosting in the first round are north of a touchdown favorite. So we'll see if one of these teams can go on the road and pull an upset. If not, then we're kind of – that doesn't mean that it will never happen, but it will just kind of give the people that said, hey, why are we putting like 12 teams in? We really don't need more than 4 or 8. So we'll see what happens.
All right, so this is interesting. Of the 4 underdogs playing this weekend, SMU, Tennessee, Clemson, Indiana, which team do you think has the best chance of springing the upset?
I think it's SMU.
Really?
I think what we saw from Penn State against Oregon, I think we saw the Oregon offense. Look, granted, that's still in Gabriel and that offense and Tez Johnson and those wide receivers, but they really got little resistance from that Penn State defense in the Big Ten championship game. And with Kevin Jennings and the Miami transfers that they have down there and Rhett Lashley has at SMU, I think they can do some similar type things. So it would not surprise me to see SMU hang around in this game. Now, look, they could go there and their lack of beating anybody good throughout the year, their strength of schedule, it may rear its ugly head this coming weekend. But I think they have the pieces that exist the most to potentially pull an upset.
So it's interesting. Like, do you think any of the 8 teams playing this weekend can actually win the national championship? Because you do think so. Okay, go ahead. Who?
Ohio State.
Really?
Ohio State is still power rated as one of the, in Texas too. Ohio State and Texas are 2 of the best 4 teams in the country. That's what I was getting at with the seeding. Like, if you say who are the best 4 teams in the country, I mean, some people might want to throw Notre Dame in there, but it's Ohio State, Texas, Oregon, and Georgia. I mean, those are the 4 best teams. And you got 2 of them now potentially would have to play 4 games in order to win the title. But yeah, if Texas or Ohio State won the national title, no one would be shocked at all.
But I think what college football wants to see eventually, and they think it's going to happen, I'm not so sure. They want to see one of these teams like SMU make a run and play in the national championship game, don't they? And I just can't envision a day where we're going to see that there.
I can't either. I mean, you're asking SMU to beat Penn State, and then they would luck out. You would get Boise State in the next round, but then you potentially get Georgia, and then you're going to get either Ohio State, Texas, or Oregon. So yeah, it's not going to happen. The way the teams are built are different. In college basketball, you have 5 players on the court at once. It's not you build continuity with upperclassmen and you're playing together for 3-4 years. That stuff matters. College football, you're not going to get that. You get 11 on 11, the 2 deeps. It's just college football is the most schedule reliant sport that there is. And I know people hate it when I say it, but like all schedules are not created equal. All conferences are not created equal. And the ringing indictment of that this year was look at Indiana. They played two teams with the winning record. SMU played nobody. Texas, no wins over a team currently ranked. So like even you compare the Texas schedule in the SEC to what Georgia faced going on the road to Texas, Ole Miss, Alabama, and then having to play Texas again in the conference championship game. Like you need to figure out a way that is like one of my fixes for the sport. You need, with these mega conferences now, 16, 18 teams in the league, 14 teams, you need to have two divisions. You at least need to have some clarity of who you're playing and make it clear, as opposed to Indiana missing out on everybody good in the Big Ten, with the exception of Ohio State and some of the other leagues, because it really was unfair to a lot of these conferences, just the gap and the chasm in scheduling.
So if you're running one of these programs under the current construct, you're scheduling easy teams, right?
Damn right I am.
Yes,
absolutely. Because that's what that's what the committee did. I don't think you almost needed to think in like 3D chess or checkers with the committee and kind of play it out in your mind. Like they painted themselves and boxed themselves into a corner with SMU. And I brought this up a couple of weeks out. Like if you had SMU ahead of Alabama on the final week of the season and going into a conference championship game, you can't knock them out because they play in a conference championship. You're saying, okay, you're in. And then you can say, oh, well, you had to play in that conference championship game. You're not in. You should have had them behind Alabama and basically say, hey, go win the game. And then we're going to put you in. So that, They did a lot of loss. Or I almost gave you a good New York, Long Island loss. Yes. Every now and then it comes out.
I like it.
Same.
But, coffee.
But it was a lot of loss ordering by the committee. So like they need to do a better job in ranking these teams and not just look at, because again, SMU's 11-1 is not as good as what Ole Miss's 9-3 or Alabama's 9-3 is.
But Bear, it's like impossible to play that game, right? Because you have to schedule these things out like years in advance, and you have no idea what the committee's going to think 3 years from now. And also, like the strength of schedule, arguably, is why Miami didn't really have a shot. I mean, they didn't play for a conference championship, but you still had a 3-loss Alabama just because of the conference they were in over a Miami who didn't have as many losses. So, like the strength. Like scheduling gimmies is good for like SEC teams and Big Ten teams at the moment. But like if your conference is not viewed as one of the better ones and then you don't have the strength of schedule, you can't get in.
Fair point. Very fair. And to give Miami at least a little bit of credit, like they did schedule Florida, and they didn't think that Florida was going to have and Florida actually wound up having a much better year than people thought. So.
But a bad year to schedule Florida, bad timing to play them.
But you don't know 3 years ago.
You can't
control
what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's crazy just how scheduling ends up affecting it.
And even within the season, like and we've talked about this with Mike and all the guys in the Miami chat that were like, what happens if Miami and if that game is played in November as opposed to September? That could be a whole different team, because the Florida team late in the season was much better than the one we saw earlier in the year.
After losing Cam Ward, because Cam Ward really is what kind of kept that team alive. Yes. So he basically has to find a Cam Ward every year under this current plan.
And I hate it. It's why I hate this. Like, you need to go out and like recruit. I guess the nickel kid supposedly is a guy, so that's a positive. But this is what I hate with this current like portal transfer NIL era. Like it's like, oh, we're just going to go out and buy a quarterback. It's not that easy. Look at this year now. Oh, we're just going to go out and get John Mateer. Oh, you didn't, because he went to Oklahoma.
Because Baker Mayfield made a call.
Exactly. So I don't know. It's still the backbone of building your team is recruiting and finding blue chip guys and keeping them and developing. You got to find the right kid to be able to do it. I know people are going to argue and say no. Look at Texas and Oregon have transfer quarterbacks, but Clemson doesn't. Penn State doesn't. Georgia doesn't. So like there's still something to be said for for bringing in a quarterback and having maybe the right makeup to be able to, hey, okay, I'll sit a year, and knowing that as a sophomore after a year of rep and a year of practice and a year of maybe some mop-up time, it's going to be my team. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully this kid will play out. I know a lot of chatter about maybe Mendoza from Cal being the guy now, but yeah, I'm not a fan of having to rely on that every year.
The Bear, we love him. He's great. The audience loves him, and he has decided to be our Santa Paws. He is going to give you 12 beautifully wrapped gifts for the holidays. It is Bear's Picks, and by the way, check out his podcast, Bear Bets, wherever you get your podcast. So how are we going to do this? Are you going to sing this? Do you want us to sing you in? How do you want to do it?
Well, I'll just do it like one by one. You can kind of tee me up for each time and react to whatever I may have said. But yeah, I'll just give you like just to give you for example. On the first bet of Christmas, the Bear gave to me the Sixers to miss the playoffs plus 130. I'll give you a little bit of that.
Okay.
I love this. Yeah, I love this.
It's going to get really old and tiring, isn't it?
No, it's not. No, it will never get old. It will never get tiring. I'm wondering what we do at 5, the 5th day. That's going to be tough for all.
No, I got a good one. I got a good one for 5.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, no, you see, like I am, as you probably or may know this, I'm not like the biggest NBA guy in the world, but my buddies who follow the stuff, I'm kind of hijacking this from them. Like the Sixers are terrible. I know the East is bad, but they are 8-16. Embiid can't walk. Everybody's hurt, and the way these bets are graded to miss playoffs, it's you can make the play-in and then get knocked out of the play-in as long as you're not in the final field of 8 to actually compete in the playoffs. Like that's a winner. So like the Sixers to miss the playoffs at plus 130 is a bet that my NBA centric friends think is still pretty good. They were actually on it a few weeks back when it was a better number, but I still think the way the season is playing out, plus 130 is still a good bet.
All right, so that's an official bet right there. That is
yes,
that's the first day of Bear Miss. Yeah,
that's
first bet of Christmas. Okay, yeah.
Right.
So all right, Billy, you want to sing them in with me here?
On the second day of Christmas, the Bear gave to me.
Texas A&M minus 3.5 versus USC.
On the third day of Christmas, the Bear gave to me.
Jeremiah Smith anytime TD versus Tennessee.
On the fourth day of Christmas, fourth bet of Christmas, the Bear gave to me.
Liverpool to win the EFL and Premier League.
On the fifth
That's a
day
plus
of
400,
Christmas,
by the way. They got to win
Bear
both.
gave to me.
The White Sox to win 50.
On the sixth bet of Christmas, the Bear gave to me.
The Premier League saying bye-bye to Man City. I'm saying they're going to get relegated, by the way. They're going to get slapped with a major penalty, and they're going to get sent down to the championship next year. That's 10-1, by the way.
Okay. Wait, so really? You can get a bet on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. On the seventh bet of Christmas, the Bear gave to me.
Ohio State minus 7.5 versus Tennessee.
I love you. On the eighth bet of, I keep saying day. On the eighth bet of Christmas, the Bear gave to me.
The Eagles to win the NFC plus 220. It's your show. You can do whatever the hell you want.
Mm-hmm. On the ninth bet of Christmas, the Bear gave to me. I love watching Mikey write these down. Go ahead.
Clemson to not score 20. That's under 19.5 versus Texas for those who weren't able to figure that out.
On the 10th bet of Christmas, the Bear gave to me.
Texas, Syracuse, and Ohio State in a money line parlay. That's minus 106, all three on the money line together. 106 is a very important number, by the way, because that's my birthday, January 6th.
Wow.
I feel really good about that. The math actually came out to that. Punch
January 7th.
Well, there we go.
Wow.
Perfect. We get to celebrate it on January 7th.
There we go.
On the 11th bet of Christmas, the Bear gave to me.
La Liga to be won by Atleti. 470. They're plus 470 to win La Liga. Big one coming up this weekend against Barcelona. Barcelona, by the way. Sometimes it's just not your year. We saw it with the 49ers in the NFL. Real Madrid, Barcelona, both kind of, it's not going well for them right now. Give my man Simeone La Liga title.
On the 12th bet of Christmas, the bear gave to me
the New York Jets +3.
Wow.
What?
I like the Jets +3 against the Rams this week.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
I like the first 11.
I hate myself for it. Believe me. Maybe that will be what convinces me to want Aaron Rodgers to hang around for another year.
I might just erase all of his bets now after that
one. Did you hit the ground running, Mike?
Yeah, hit it running. I haven't stopped. Yeah, it's it's hard because we're trying to get this thing going. We're trying to we got to recruit. So there's all sorts of levels of recruiting. There's the portal. There's still the high school recruiting with the kids. Then there's your own kids you've got to recruit. So there's like 3 different worlds coming together.
Mike, can you put us on the phone when Bill Belichick calls you and he starts discussing, like, how did that process work? Where Belichick's calling you and saying, Mike, I'm taking the Carolina job. Do you want to come and be my general manager?
Well, I think a lot of that was conversations that we've had ongoing. We were doing the coach podcast. We still are. And we would have conversations about opportunities. And I think when this one came up, as I've mentioned many times before, Bill and I were on this campus and we were walking around here thinking, how can't you win here? It's a magical place. I mean, there's nothing prettier than Carolina. Yeah. And they've been so good and they've got such great fan base, the alumni. It's a great institution. And we've always thought this had untapped potential. And, so I think to me, it was more about what he wanted to do than it was what I wanted to do. I always wanted to go back and work with him. So that was easy to kind of assume it was what he was going to be comfortable with. And once he started talking to North Carolina, I think he realized he got very comfortable.
It's interesting. So I'm guessing, Mike, knowing you the way I do, you don't take this job unless you know Bill Belichick's going to be there for a while, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to. I had a good thing going with the media with VSiN. Right. As you know, we were partners on DraftKings, and I was doing a lot of things. And it was a perfect ending to my career. I've written 2 books, and I was working on a 3rd book. And so, I wouldn't have done this if it wasn't for him. I wanted to work for him. I always did. We've enjoyed ourselves working together. It's a really good partnership. It's tremendous reward. And I know that the effort that he's going to put in is going to far exceed anything that anybody else would. And I wanted to be a part of it.
Where'd you leave off on the 3rd book? Like, what are you doing there, Mike?
Well, the 3rd book was actually going to be about the last 5 years in New England. He's writing a book on leadership, but if you look at the last 5 years of New England, the success that they had, 3 Super Bowls, we won 2 together, a conference championship loss, those kind of things. The book is going to be about the second run. Like we've made the first run back in the early 2000s, but that second run from 14 to 18 was pretty impressive too.
Do you think, Mike, at all that Bill, does he still have a desire to coach in the NFL at some point?
No, I think the question everybody asks is, why isn't he chasing Shula? And the people that ask that question really don't know Bill. Because if you know Bill wants to win championship. Bill wants to go somewhere. He wants to set up his program. He wants to build a program, and he wants to run the program. Now, people misconstrue that conversation as if he wants to control everything. No, he wants to be able to build his culture. There's 2 different things. Sure. Building a culture and controlling are 2 different. And so he wants to build a culture. And in pro football today, it becomes increasingly harder to establish a full throttle culture because you've got so many outside entities coming in. I've often said this many times. They've never dedicated a monument to a committee. And so in the NFL, there's a lot of committees. And so it's hard to get anything done. And I think in college now with the landscape, because it is professional, the players are getting paid, that you can run your program how you want to run it.
So it's interesting. So you and Bill have had conversations. Why did you view Carolina as a destination, as a sleeping giant?
Because it's one of the greatest public institutions in the country. The campus is incredible. The high school football in North Carolina is great. And when you produce a player like Lawrence Taylor, Julius Peppers, guys that are in the Hall of Fame, they've always had great players. I mean, we could fill up the Ring of Honor back here at the stadium like you can't believe. But they've not been able to kind of sustain success or get over that threshold, and this notion that, well, they're a basketball school, that's a crock of crap, right? I mean, you're a school. Vince Lombardi used to say this: a school without football is basically just a cathedral of knowledge. That's all it is, And so it's a giant study hall. And I think, to me, football is a huge sport. And I think if you see now the landscape by these conferences, how things have changed, football is a predominant moneymaker. And you've got to have a good football team if you want to support all the other programs in the school. So, and this school's got, look, the women's soccer team just won their 23rd championship. This school's got great history in all the sports. I just think, to me, football needs to catch up, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, lacrosse is one of them. How big of an influence was that for Bill? Just the fact that they have that lacrosse program. Petramalo is a good friend of his. How big of a factor was that for him?
Oh, I think it is big because Coach P could tell him about everything that goes on down here. They have a great relationship and what it's like to work here and what it takes to win here, right? And I think that was a huge influence. I'm sure that was the first call Bill made when he was talking about the school.
How'd your family and friends take the news?
Oh, I've had some interesting texts. One text I got from a very good friend of mine who I've known for 40 years. He's a high power agent. He said, "You've lost your mind." And so I wrote him back, "I love you too." But I think, to me, this is, I don't see it that way. This is the arena I've lived in my whole life.
Sure.
I've spent my whole life having people knock on my door wanting money. I mean, so whether it's 18 years old or whether you're 40, I mean, the knock's the same knock, the story's the same story. I got better at saying no, what's that Jimmy Buffett line? Occupational hazard mean occupation just not around? Well, you got to be able to move to the next one.
How different is this role than when you were like general manager and VP of the Browns? Because it's seemingly a new position in college, but it seems like it's very similar to a general manager of a professional team.
Well, actually, I think I have way more authority here than I had as a general manager of the Cleveland Browns. So,
wow.
I had to report to a president. I had to report to the owner. Everything had to be checked and balances with the president, So, I have a lot more authority to do what I want to do to set up the program. That's going to take a lot of work. Just because you have the authority doesn't mean you're going to get the job done. There's a lot of process. We have to establish a process. So what we're going to try to do here at North Carolina is build a personnel department that is resembling a NFL pro personnel department. See, whenever you have money involved in any decision, you have to value the player. Player Y is valued at X. Player X is valued at this. So without grades, the player's value is meaningless. So we're going to build that database. We're going to grade every high school player. We'll grade every college player. So when a guy hits the portal, we know exactly what we're doing.
Mike, it seems, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like the two of you are kind of laying down the foundation, the blueprint of what college programs are going to look like moving forward.
Yeah, I don't know that. I just know how to run this. I know how to do this job. And I said this to somebody else, and I don't mean this in any egotistical way. As you get older in life, you get better at what you want to do. I am so more prepared to be a general manager at 65 than I was when I was able to do it in my 30s. So, I'm going to do the best that I can based on the experience. Experience matters. And you've got to understand how you want to build a team. The appealing factor about working with Coach Belichick is we both see how to build a team in the same way.
What is a realistic timeline, I guess, for North Carolina? Because now college football is so different where year over year, your roster is completely different, which I would think is a challenge compared to the NFL, where you lock people in for years and you don't have to constantly there's not the same turnover that now you have in college. So where do you guys want North Carolina to be realistically? Is it an ACC championship? Is it the playoffs year one? Like, what are the expectations?
I mean, we got in this to win a championship, and this school should recruit nationally. Use that brand. I mean, when I wear this, when you see this isn't at every airport. You can't go to an airport and not see somebody wearing a North Carolina gear. We've got Michael Jordan. You got Lawrence Taylor. We're going to be able to walk into any high school and they're going to know North Carolina. Now we've got to sell the school and sell the ability to win. So I don't see why we should put any cap on it. I mean, we're going to climb a mountain. Now we're at the bottom of the mountain. We get that, but we're going to try to get to the top. I mean, there's no sense in going halfway up Everest. Nobody gives you an award for that.
Most people who go halfway up Everest are dead.
Yeah, right. You're right. They're frozen, right?
They don't make their way back down.
Billy, but this is Lombardi and Belichick. Like, they think they're holding up the national championship trophy next year.
That's what I'm saying. It feel like you're going to talk me into this. Like, I think North Carolina national champions now.
No, I mean, look, it's not just because we're here. It's going to take a collective effort. We got to get really good players. We got to spend time. But one thing I do know, we have the greatest coach of all time coaching the team. The team will get better. There's no question about that.
What do you think is going to be Bill's biggest challenge going from the NFL game that he had to now doing college football the way it is? Is it the time that he's allowed to do? Is it his interaction with players and the recruiting aspect?
No, I mean, he's always been a really good recruiter. I don't think people have seen that side of Bill because of what you guys see at the press conferences, the one-word answer. Bill's very good inside talking to a player, especially one that loves football and wants to get better. I don't think there is a challenge to him because you actually have more time to spend with players than you do in the NFL. You get more practice time here in college. We got spring practice. Hell, we can't do anything with the players until until May. In the NFL, we lost all that in the last collective bargaining agreement. That's why the offensive lines in the NFL are so deficient, because we've lost so many of those players that we haven't been able to do that. So I think that's really a hard thing. I think it's actually easier to do this than it ever was before.
Mike, I'll tell you this, because Belichick gave a pregame speech to my daughter's lacrosse team at Northwestern. He's very close with the head coach there, Kelly Hiller, and gave a pregame speech. Like, if people are wondering if Belichick can relate to 20, 21, 22, 17, 18-year-olds, that team walked out of that locker room saying that was the coolest 15 minutes they've ever experienced. So Bill can do it, you know?
I mean, look, I know he can do it. I've heard him do it many times. He just doesn't want to do it for the 60 million people that come to his press conference. Or does he have to do it?
Right? Yeah,
not yet. Right. Not yet. Yeah. I'm going to buy one. He's going to buy one. Look, we're fully vested in this. This isn't our. We're not going down to Boca Vista here. And retiring. I mean, we're going to put every ounce of energy we have into this.
Why'd you go Boca Vista there?
Well, isn't that where Seinfeld's parents retired to?
Del Boca Vista.
Yeah. Yes. Del Boca Vista.
You're really excited for this. I'm excited for you, man. So this is what you've wanted to do for a long time. If you were going to pry yourself away, if you're going to be pried away for the media, it was only to go do something like this with Bill, I think, right?
Well, no question, and not have to answer to anybody. We have Lee Roberts, the chancellor here, is tremendous. I mean, he sent me a text this morning asking me what we need, how we're doing. I mean, I never got that text from anybody when you work in the NFL, right? So it's like you're here without interference. And when I say interference, I don't mean it in a malicious way, without anybody, telling you how to run to do it. You see all these reports that come out that the owner of the Jets didn't want to trade for a player because his Madden rating wasn't high enough. I mean, seriously, if that's a true story, and I don't know if it is, but that's the world I don't want to live in.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. Are you surprised the NFL? It seems like the NFL 2 years in a row has kind of, and I'm shocked by this because I think he's the greatest coach who has ever lived. But it seems like the NFL has kind of said, hey, Bill, we're done with you. Are you surprised by that?
Well, I mean, look, the Atlanta Falcons improved their team by saying they didn't think he was very good, haven't they? They've done a great job with that. I mean, they've spent $100 million on a quarterback that they're going to bench. They had 3 coaches better than Bill Belichick. So my hat's off to them to find 3 guys better than him at 7 and what's their record? 7-6 now. They haven't really improved from Arthur Smith, who did a really good job there last year. So no, I'm not surprised because as Bill Walsh once told me in 1984, it's not always the league of the best and the brightest.
So, Mike, just as a friend, I want to give you some advice. Like, I don't want you, don't kill the basketball program and walk in there and say, we're going to turn it into a football school. Like Michael Jordan. Don't piss him off is what I'm trying to tell you, okay?
Oh, no, we need Michael Jordan, and we need the basketball school to be great. I mean, that's part of what makes the school so good. Every time a sport wins, the baseball team, the football team, the women's soccer team, we need that because we're a school that's going to build winners, and they have. And they have. They haven't needed Michael Lombardi or Bill Belichick to produce winners. They've done it on their own. We're just going to try to help them.
I love the idea of Jordan helping on a recruiting trip. Like, what do you think?
I mean, I think, Bill and him had a conversation. I think to me, he's going to hopefully, I think he's proud of his school. So I'm sure he wants to see good football at his school. He loves football. He loves the competition. We need him. I mean, I think there's no question. We need Lawrence Taylor. I mean, Lawrence was on Adam Schefter's podcast the other day talking about it. So, look, this school has incredible alumni. Whether they played football, whether it's whether it's in the country music world, where there's certainly people that are gravitate to this team that want to be around it. I think to me, it's really important.
Billy, imagine that. Like, you hear what's happening here. Okay, you're gonna have Belichick, you're gonna have Jordan, you're gonna have Lawrence Taylor, and you're gonna have Mike Lombardi walk into a kid's home. Like, that deal's getting done. I'm taking Carolina to win the next 5 national championships.
Wow, next 5.
We're just trying to win the first game. That's all we got to do, right?
I mean, you got to do more than just win the first game. If that's all you do, it was a colossal failure, Mike.
Well, look, you can only win. You can't win the second one until you win the first one. So that's what we got to do.
But Mike, listen, you're a media savvy guy. You're a media veteran. You know what's going to happen if you lose that first game. I'm going to crush you. Okay.
Okay. Wow. Good. Yeah. And I love it. And I love it. And so, look, that comes with the territory. This is, as the great Hyman Roth said in The Godfather, this is the business we've chosen. We know what the rules are.
I'll crush you with a smile, though. Okay.
There you go.
Oh, good. Yeah.
It is time for this week's edition of Stugotz, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. College football, it's playoff time, 76, 66, and 2 on the regular season. We're only picking playoff games this year. I'm not doing ancillary bowl games. I'm not doing it. It's got me in trouble in years past. I'm not going to do it. Let's get to the playoff games. Notre Dame minus 7.5. They're at home. They're taking on Indiana. Wow, what a great game. Is it? I have no idea if either of these teams can win a national championship, but I do think Notre Dame is going to win and cover the spread. Buy it down to 7 points. Notre Dame wins, they cover. Notre Dame by 14 points over Indiana. SMU plus 8.5 at Penn State. Weather could be a factor. Oh, I don't know what that means, but I do like SMU here. Penn State going to win the game. SMU going to cover. Penn State wins by 3 points and advances in the playoffs. Texas minus 12 taking on Clemson. Texas wins. They cover. Texas by 18 points at home. Tennessee plus 7.5 at Ohio State. Ohio State. I don't know what to do with them. Buy it up to 8 points. Take Tennessee. Ohio State wins. They win by 4. Tennessee gets the cover. So Tennessee, Texas, SMU, and Notre Dame. NFL, Week 16, 5-3 a week ago. I am on fire. I'm having a season for the ages. Seriously. I would put my record up against anybody's record in the country. How about that? 66, 40, and 2. Let me say that again. 66, 40, and 2. Let's get to the picks. We have the Ravens, minus 6.5. They're taking on the Steelers. The Ravens have to win this game, right? Lamar has to beat the Steelers occasionally, right? Well, it's 6.5. We're going to buy it down to 6. We're going to take the Ravens. The Ravens win. They cover. Baltimore by 13 points over Pittsburgh. The Lions on the road, bounce back week. Dan Campbell hit a reset button. They're at Chicago, taking on the Bears, who are lousy. They've given up on the entire season. The Lions win. They cover. Detroit by 14 points on the road. Falcons, minus 8.5. Michael Penix time. They're taking on the Giants. The Giants are awful. The Falcons still have a shot at winning that division and making the playoffs. I'm taking the Falcons here. It's more pick against the Giants than it is for Atlanta. I'm taking the Falcons here by 14 points. They cover over the Giants. The Rams at the Jets. Rams minus 3. Buy it down to 2.5. Rams win and they cover. The Rams by 10 points on the road. Vikings minus 3 at Seattle. Buy it down to 2.5. Vikings, again, we're not going to give them any credit until they're hoisting until they're hoisting the Super Bowl trophy. And even after that, we still might not give them credit. Sam Darnold, please. Vikings win and cover the Vikings by 7 points on the road in Seattle. The Bills, it's Josh Allen's time. Yes, it is. They're going to win the Super Bowl. You heard it here first. I'm certain other people have said that, but you heard it here first. Bills minus 14. They're taking on the Patriots. Buy down to 13.5. The Bills win, and they cover by 21 points at home. Dolphins still think they're playing for something. The Niners, they're not. Dolphins -1 over the 49ers. Sunday afternoon, Dolphins at 425. The Dolphins are great. Sunday afternoons at 425. I made that up. The Dolphins win and they cover the Dolphins by 10 points on the road. When you're 66-40-2, you can make up. The Bucks -4 at Dallas. Buy it down to 3.5. Take Tampa. The Bucks win and they cover Tampa by 10 points on the road. Those are the picks, everyone. Merry Christmas and good luck.